Okay, I can set it up then. So we're gonna do a quick recap for the episode from this week. Your interview with Rob Gasparo. Uh, I think that's right. He said not to be offended if we
Close
didn't get it
enough.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, from what I recall. So you guys talked about a lot. Um, what you kind of narrowed it down to was a friendly reminder that you found that you think relates to your guys' discussion around mental health and men's mental health and things along that lines. So yeah, I can let you take it from there, but I think that's what we're gonna.
Anyways, yeah, absolutely. June is Men's Mental Health Month, and I think that the episode with Rob definitely feeds into that a little bit. That was the purpose with him, and he and I have always, since we developed the friendship, it's been a very natural thing that we've been able to talk about things with each other and things that most of the time people frown on, and but there's the strongest men that I know that are out there are those that are participating in their own mental health, and that is talking about things and healing and there's so much guilt and regret and it's hard, men have a hard time reconciling that because if you don't talk about it, you can't deal with it. And again, trail back to all those things that connecting dots, where they come from, and working with them, and it's men mostly let that stuff build up, and um, that's part of the big damage that goes on with the mental health part with men is not getting that stuff out, and a lot of times it'll come out in inappropriate ways, and um, so again, there's just a lot of pressure around that. So one of the friendly reminders I put up, was designed for a little bit and I put it up a couple of times actually. I've remolded it twice, and because it's meant a lot to me, and each time I put it up, it was because I was thinking about it, and it's something triggered that being again talking about feelings, doing things is again always suppressed in most cases with men. It's what's um, it's the narrative that's pushed, and it's what's been accepted for a long time. So anyway, so I'm going to play this friendly reminder. I'll put it up to the mic here, and then we'll kind of go through some comments. And all right,
Sure. Feeling anxious? That's okay. Feeling depressed? That's okay. Feeling lonely? That's okay. Just talk about it. Just talk about it.
just just trying to make a point, just trying to do something quick, and this wasn't designed specifically for men, but a lot of the reactions that come with this. So a post like this, um, you know, typically my posts get about 10%, which is a high engagement rate with comments. Likes and things like that are usually can be as high as 50% sometimes. Just depends on what something is. But so this one again got a lot of engagement. Twice as much commenting as normal. So and again, a lot of people just resonate with. It's almost like that they feel like they were just given permission to do something that they want to do. Um, Following through with that and continuing with that, and being willing to always put yourself out and expose yourself. It's a lot of exposure, talking about things, finding people to trust to do that. These are a lot of things that get touched on in a lot of these comments. So there's definitely a lot of comments that are very encouraging. This is perfect. Thank you. So true. I started a while ago just saying it, and wow, I was healed. Needed this. Thanks, brother. Great advice. And then I'm going to kind of go through. So you kind of get the gist on that. And there's a couple in here that I've picked out. So again, hear your own voice, express your feelings, powerful stuff. Not easy sometimes, but confidence building. Don't beat yourself up. Feeling all three today. Thank you for being here and saying that. So again, some of these comments I'm gonna read because again, I think it's part of what I'm talking about. People feel like you're giving them permission, and they're grateful for that. And I think that's a big part of expanding on and understanding that if we could all, engage in more of the talking and healing and doing these things and it's in exhibiting that to those people that do look for us for guidance or how to handle things, whether it's our kids, especially, parents, showing their kids, and helping them understand there's avenues to express yourself and talk about things where it's safe and so you can not hold on and let things build and all those things that can happen with it, as we all go navigate life. But it says, I don't have enough words to thank you. What you're doing is definitely helping many people out there, just like you made me smile in some of my worst days. So again, it's that these are reasons why I do what I do and continue to do what I do. And this is the power of it. Look, I'm just a regular old guy and has some wisdom and I'm sharing it and trying to help people understand what's worked for me. And that has been talking about it and talking about it freely. You don't have to do it like me. But the core again is talking about it. And that again, such a reflection of what men don't do. And so again, pushing that narrative. Rob and I hopefully showing a little bit of some vulnerability and things like that and talking about some things on the last Tuesday show to kind of bringing this in and tying it into, what's happening with this whole platform. There's some other good ones in here. People would sooner suppress than enable one to talk about these things. We need more of this. So again, just that pushing that narrative that, again, it's not everything used to be about me and everything I used to do was about me. And I wish I would have grasped it a little bit earlier, but of course my community enlightened me on that. But it's not just about me and it's not just about you. All these things, it's about all of us. It's about everybody, because everybody in your life, whatever stage you are at your own self-care, your own healing, your own self-worth, how you operate in this world is all based upon that. So you're going to be oozing whatever's coming out of you, good or bad, ugly or not, depending on what's going on with you, is going to spread with whatever contact you have with people, however you deal with people at a store or whatever. It's how you feel about yourself, and how you feel about others and how you feel about your life and all these things. And if you're not dealing with things, it's going to, again, you're pushing this out to the world. So it's best to heal and give the world that than to give them your anger and give them your shame and your guilt and all those things that when you don't talk about it, it's not anything that goes away. It's just not going to go away. Okay, let's get to a few other of these. When I journal, I feel I'm venting nonsense. Yesterday I had a mental breakdown, but somehow I was telling a lot of lies about why I was feeling bad. Today I woke up, went out into nature a little bit. I felt fantastic. When I'm down the rabbit hole, I tend to forget the good. And so again, this is here's an avenue. Again, journaling is all part of that. Journaling is just like talking. You can, if you don't have anybody to talk to, and there's some pushback in here, and I'll get to a couple of these comments. where people, I don't have someone to talk to. My parents won't talk to me. My friends don't listen to me. All these things. And I made a couple of pushbacks with these comments that then some other people jumped in. But I just said just a lot of excuses. And look, this goes back to the self-care savage mentality and what ties into this. You have to include yourself in all of this. And if not, again, you put yourself first in getting support from yourself. And the only way you get support from yourself is to talk and heal or journal or do these things so you get more confident, build your self-worth. You start insulating yourself. Your mindset changes to where you, again, are moving around in this world not as a victim or just hanging on to all these things that you don't need to be, or worrying about the future because of things that happened in the past. And people aren't always going to be there. People aren't always going to be engaged. So you have to be able to have the avenues to either walk in nature, talk to yourself, work things out. You don't have to talk to yourself. Out loud. You can do it just, in your head, and journal to push things out. Once you get some resolutions to these things, you start understanding them, you put them on paper, again, connecting the dots. So this is dealing, you have to be able to do this with yourself. You have to be able to rely on yourself because people are just not going to be there. So you can't have those excuses anymore, because you have to be your own best friend. You have to be your number one cheerleader, all of those things. Stop saying nobody's there. Stop saying nobody's available to you or willing to listen to you or your family's this way. All these things that keep you where you're at and stuck because you won't do the work yourself. So again, these are all things that are so important too, especially with men, because men are pushed so much into leadership roles. Not that they don't want them or they don't want to accept them, but that's the nature of men, is to compete and, want to, there's just a lot of things that are tied into that. And also the narrative that that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go out and conquer the world, and you're supposed to go out and do these things. And it's tough when you're already dealing with all this other stuff. So again, you've got to turn on yourself. You got to get in that mirror. You got to do whatever, and you've got to bring this to that level too. And that will enable you more to be able to be in a position to talk to someone else, to take it further. Because as I'm learning, and I've learning through my own self-care and the self-care savage stuff, and we need people. We need social connection. We need to be able to help someone else and someone be safe, coming to us. And there's a lot of trust that goes with that. And none of that can get worked out unless you work that out with yourself. So, anyways.
Good stuff. That covers most of the bullet points on here. I was curious, what do you think like a top takeaway would be from you with your discussion you had with Rob in terms of this? Like, is there something that pops up that you remember talking to him about that kind of, in particular, that spurred this friendly reminder? Or just like a top takeaway? Yeah.
This is why I love Paul, because again, he brought something up that was something new that I had not known about him, and his wife. I love his wife. She's amazing too. But he talked about, he said, in fact, he said that, I don't think I've ever told you this, Scott. And he said, and I don't remember what we were talking about that led up to it, but I do remember him saying this. He said, my wife and I, every morning, we say to each other that we know, and again, I'm paraphrasing, we know what each other's wounds are. We know what things can hurt each other or hurt that person, and that we're going to do everything we can to not trigger that with them today or push that or use that. That's what I'm getting. Again, I'm adding some things, but to get people to see this too. Go back, listen to the episode, and you can hear exactly what he said. But that, and I thought that was amazing. That there's a lot of discipline in that. There's a lot of love in that. Relationships are hard, and these are the things you have to do to keep those relationships going, to keep that trust, to know that if something is going on with you, even if y'all had irritated each other about something else that morning, that they can still come to you and talk to you, and they're not going to use things against you that are of no good, that are just hurtful. And there's so many things in there that are beautiful. It's just crazy. So yeah, I learned that about him, but it also just kept reinforcing that again. That's why Paul's amazing. I mean, Rob,
good.
So yeah, that's hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, that's great. So do you have like one kind of top takeaway from the reminder? Just talk about it. Basically, is what it comes down to that you'd like to hammer home.
Exactly, it's hard. People are going to push back. It's easier to push back. It's easier to excuse. It's easier to do all of those things than to turn it back onto you. And that's where, again, it starts. And that's being a self-care savage. And that whole thing that I push is not, it's the word self-care and all that. It's very important. It was for me having to go hard on myself. And I feel like anybody that goes through this process has to go really, really hard on themselves if they want to come through this. You have to, go to war with yourself. You have to do all these things to do that. But the point of that is where people kind of just, they resist, is having to do the work because it's very painful, and not understanding that every relationship they have in their life, everything that's going on with them is nothing but, doesn't mean they're not sincere, and they are doing the best that they can, but it's half-ass. Because when you're not working on yourself, you're not doing the work, which is all part of talking, whether it's, to yourself or the journaling or a therapist, friends, whoever, and going through all these emotions when you need to set boundaries and do all these things with everybody in your life to keep things clean. That is, again, things like this are pushbacks, and again, the pushbacks are excuses, and I get it. And a lot of people don't want to hear, look, you want some resolutions, you want to do some things to help yourself to move forward, to be better. So here's that other piece. When you do that, you're better for everybody else in your life. You've stepped up your game as a parent. You've stepped up your game as whatever community leader you are, or spiritual leader, or whatever your position you've either been put in, or you've accepted, or you've gone after. If you're not doing and turning on yourself and taking care of yourself, you're going to be stuck, and that's the level at which you're going to be able to guide anybody. So again, these are hard things to hear. It's work. Look, we're in a comfort crisis in this world. It's where we seek out what's comfortable, and what's comfortable is not dealing with things. We seek out things that make us comfortable not dealing with things. It doesn't matter what it is. Look, it can even be things that are good for us physically. People dive into working out or running for miles or doing things, which is great, amazing. But a lot of times they utilize that too to not deal with what would be in their head if they weren't doing things to distract themselves. It's just like addicts. It's just like using substances, self-medicating, whatever it is you do. And I know I've expanded a little bit more, but it's that important. All, these are not just things you can go. It's just one little nugget. Oh, if you just take 10 minutes and talk to yourself in the mirror, everything's going to be better. Again, the talking is about learning, is about understanding. Where are things coming from? Why do you feel this way? Why do you make decisions you make? Why do you do self-sabotage yourself? Why are your relationships always be challenged? Why? So you learn that and then you go work on it. Remember, you can't fix it if you don't know what it is. So I don't mean to set this up as, it's just this huge challenge that you have to take on. You do the best you can with where you're at, but you have to do something. You have to do something to take care of yourself. And I'm not going to preach to you about how you need to take care of yourself physically and things like that. Self-care savages, I preach the outdoors. All these things tie into all those three things. Healing the mind, body, and the soul. So, you find what that is for you. But what I'm going to tell you to do is go out and find a trail and walk it until you're exhausted and do it over and over again. Look at the beauty, find the solitude, let your mind be free, do the work, journal, all these things is what I'm going to put. But you don't have to do it that way, but you got to do something. Stop with the excuses. I don't care who's not in your life. I did all this and sought out solitude to do what I needed to do. And that may not be what you need to do, but I would